All right. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Chopping Up with P. Scott. I'm Prescott Kelly. Today is Saturday, October 28th. Glad to have you back with us. We are basically doing not a rerun episode, if you will, but we're continuing on from yesterday's episode. So if you're looking across the screen, we are going to go ahead and follow up with everything that we were going to talk about yesterday. So we talked about NBA fans and Slim Vic yesterday, NFL trade rumors yesterday, Giannis and how I can't stand him anymore, and he keeps playing these people for simps. And that's kind of where we left it off as far as like actual content was concerned. We went back and forth. We had people in the chat. We answered some questions. So if you have questions, please do. Like, go ahead and bring them back in. But that's where we got to in that moment. So, with everything in itself, given the timeline of what we're supposed to talk to, let's get back to the dialogue at hand. What we need to do is stop getting off Josh Allen's nuts. It's crazy to me. Yes, they won last week, but the Patriots beat them. They barely beat the Giants. We got to stop doing this. And I've been saying this now for 5 years. And my stance on Josh Allen really hasn't changed all that much. Do I think he's talented? Yes, of course I do. Do I think he makes mistakes? Of course I do. Hi. That's my son. My son just popped in.
Hi again.
What's up?
It keeps on doing that failed to log in thing on Fall Guys.
Okay. I'm not sure what to do. You might need to pick a different game then. I can't really help with that, bud.
Okay. Hello, bye.
Hello, bye. Super great way. Honestly, if you're watching video wise, that was probably amazing for you. And if you were just doing it through audio, not so much. But regardless, anyway, but yeah, what I'm tired of is the people when it comes to Josh Allen, because I've been right about him for I don't know his entire career. When he got drafted, I was not super high on him getting drafted where he got because you got a lot more holes to fill. But in fairness, I didn't know they were going to get Stephon Diggs, but they got him, which makes him look a lot better. And he would make anybody look great because there's this weird thing called, you guys saw Case Keenum, right? I don't think I have any more words to say than that. It's just Case Keenum, Stephon Diggs. But what we do is we forget the frustrations that we have with quarterbacks if they're not our quarterbacks. So me, I'm a Bills fan, right? You can see all the hardware behind me. I'm a Bills fan. I will do this real quick. I remember back in, I think it was 2011, maybe 2012, somewhere in that ballpark, where the Bills had a top 10 pick and they traded back. And I was like, oh, they finally figured it out. This is where they figure it out. Nope. They traded back and still drafted EJ Mother Manuel. They traded back and still got him. Isn't that insane to you? Because it is to me. All right, let's get back on point for a moment. My biggest issue is people telling me that Josh Allen is a top 3 quarterback. He's not. He's just not. And we have to stop telling ourselves that he is. I've always said this about Josh Allen. He's basically Caucasian Jameis Winston. I've got a lot of heat about it, and I don't care because it's pretty accurate. Every game, you're going to see 5 to 6 throws or plays from Josh Allen go, man, nobody can make that play. Nobody. And then you're going to get about 5 or 6 plays that go, nobody would make that play. And it is infuriating. It's absurd. And to top it all off, he's your franchise guy. You're paying him $50 million a year, essentially. How is that supposed to be good? It's not good for you. It's not good for Buffalo, but it makes you feel good as a Bills fan, which has made me so infuriated as well. It's so stupid. We haven't been good since Jim Kelly. So you overpaid this guy. We haven't had a head coach as good as Marv Levy. So you overpay Sean McDermott. And to be fair, and I'll recircle, I promise. Sean McDermott isn't the person that I believe is the one that got the Bills to the playoffs. It was basically Tyrod Taylor. And for those that aren't Bills fans, don't worry. This segment is going to get wrapped up real quick. But Tyrod Taylor is the one who really got them to the playoffs. Them and that defense. That defense was super good. And what they had no weapons. No weapons at all. Go back and look. It was fat Kelvin Benjamin, broken Charles Clay, old LaShawn McCoy. And they still made the playoffs. Why? Defense was good. Tyrod didn't turn the ball over, and they almost beat the Jaguars. And the Jaguars went to the AFC Championship game and could have been in a Super Bowl. And why didn't they? Because their quarterback. They handcuffed. They absolutely handcuffed Blake Bortles. You got to figure something out, man. And Buffalo just hasn't been able to figure this thing out. I've kind of moved my points a little bit on Josh Allen. So in Buffalo draft, they traded up to get him, which kind of bugged me because you're basically betting against yourself. There was nobody in that draft at the time who needed a quarterback except for you and Arizona. And then Arizona said, oh, you guys traded up? Well, we'll sit back. Now, what they did was got Josh Rosen. And yeah, it seems it's doo-doo butter. And I get it. But by all sorts of the imagination, like, what has either one of them done? Because that's what we do, right? In the landscape of sports, we go back to what have you done for me? What have you done for me lately? And in all reality, nothing from either one of them. What we're doing is, oh, you had a really cool playoff game against Patrick Mahomes? Awesome, man. And that's what we're doing. Which, to a degree, I think is kind of a little bit, again, I don't like using the word unfair, but it is a little bit unrealistic to just say, did you win or did you not win? I made this argument with Victor Wembanyama the other day. So he lost his opening game and had essentially the exact same stat line as Tim Duncan. Well, did you win? No, He didn't. But we're automatically going to that as opposed to just, can we let this guy play it out? But Josh Allen is not the same thing. He's been in the league for 5 or 6 years. Everything that Josh Allen does is, I have to be a hero or I have to be a failure. Dude, at some point in time, you have to understand that you can just be you. And the Bills don't understand that, because what the Buffalo Bills have been doing, I have been saying this for 2 god years. Sorry, I was trying to find my button because I switched myself. I've been saying this for 2 years. The Bills need to stop trying to get the next reincarnation of Jim Kelly, and that's what they're doing. They think that everything that they do and everything is on the hinges of Josh Allen because they've gone through Doug Flutie, and he's over there. If you're watching live, he's over there, right there. And they replaced him with Rob Johnson. Why? Big arm. Doug Flutie didn't have it. And after that, it was JP Lossman, and it was EJ Manuel, and it was, God, if you want to do that carousel of quarterbacks, I will. Jesus Christ, I spent 10 minutes on this subject already, and I don't want to do that. My point is, Josh Allen needs to stop being the hero ball guy. And also, by that dynamic, Sean McDermott needs to actually shut the up as well and let the offensive coordinator do what he's going to do. I'm not a huge Ken Dorsey fan, but again, he knows more about football than I do. So I'm not going to actually criticize the absolute hell out of him. But by the same token, you are the actual football coach. You run this joint. Sorry, if you're watching live, I feel like I saw something run across. That was weird. But again, the only thing that could have run across is like either my son or like 3 cats. But regardless, but no, like you have to find some kind of construct of saying we need to be better than this. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We as fans think that we know everything, and we actually don't know. We really don't. I pretend that I know more than Chan Gailey, but he's been around for like 40 years. But there's certain circumstances where like, yo, take the field goal. Why don't you just go ahead and punt? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? That's not what we're here for. But on top of that, Josh Allen is a turnover machine. And I don't think I have to really do anything else more than just say that. He is a turnover machine. For somebody who's supposed to be one of the top 3 or 4 best quarterbacks in the NFL, you'd think that his turnover to interception or turnover to just any ratio would be good. No. And I've been labeled as a very bad Buffalo Bills fan. I mean, we're streaming live on Facebook. We're streaming live on YouTube. You can see it. I'm clearly not a bad Bills fan. I'm just not stupid. And Josh Allen, to me, is just one of those dudes who I acknowledge that he's a very good quarterback. He's very good. That is the label I am willing to put on him. Because beforehand, when he got drafted, I was furious. Because again, if you go back and just, if we go back through the tape of just even this episode alone, I told you, I thought you reached, because what you were doing was betting against yourself. And that's what they did. because the next quarterback taken was Josh Rosen, who played what, 38 minutes period? Nobody was going to take anybody else. And they gave it multiple picks. And I was furious. I wasn't furious that they picked Josh Allen. I was furious that they traded up for him. Ooh, man, you boys worked up right now. Let's see. Let's go to the chat real quick. Josh Allen needs to take care of the ball and stop trying to force big plays and coverage. That's what I've been noticing when I see him. You know what, Chili? You're right. There's a lot of that because what they've been doing forever, and I've always been a huge proponent, and I swear to God, I will die on this hill when it comes to Buffalo Bills and their overall valuation of quarterbacks. Since Jim Kelly, they just want somebody. And once they got Josh Allen, they just want to cram it down Bills Mafia's throat. And that's what they're doing. He's not the right guy for the job, depending. Well, in fairness, maybe he is. But it depends on what you want him to be. If you want him to be a drop back, statuesque kind of quarterback, that's not who he is. But the thing is, and this is my biggest problem with everybody in this league, is when we don't need you monetarily, we will absolutely blow up your body. But once you prove yourself, don't make you what makes you great. And then all the fans come in and say, well, why aren't you as good as you were beforehand? This is where all of this, like, I'm almost 40 years old, and this is such an old take, is this is where the rubber meets the road, is when you don't pay Josh Allen, you have no problem running him into the ground. Same with Jalen Hurts or any other mobile quarterback. Same with Justin Fields. Justin Fields is in a different dynamic just because, one, he's in a real tough situation. And it's not just because he's Justin Fields, it's because it's the Bears and that entire roster is just complete doo-doo butter. But what we run into is we've got to protect the person that we think is the person worth $50 million a year. And I've been saying this for the last 3 years on this podcast. Nobody's worth it. And it's not because of how could you ever pay anybody anything. There are certain NBA players who make more money than quarterbacks. And that's not what I'm trying to do. My point is the simp owners are going to 100% bail into everything to just, well, we can't lose this guy. And I've been saying for years. I remember there was a time where Jared Goff got to a Super Bowl. No, we can't lose him. We can't lose Blake Bortles. We got to an AFC Championship game in Jacksonville. Trent Dilfer didn't actually get the bag afterwards, but my whole thing is, if you're not 100% just generationally good on one side of the ball, you can put up 40 points a game and have no defense, or you can have a defense that gives up 12 10, 12 points a game. And then you can still be good. We've seen this before. But this isn't like Josh Allen just isn't that dude. And neither are the Bills, and neither is Sean McDermott. That's what we've come down to. So when everybody tells me, why aren't you happy? I'm not happy because the Bills are just the Bills. The Bills are what they've always been. To a better degree, if you will. They used to be 6-7 win team, but not bad. The Bills have never been bad enough to ever get the number 1 overall pick, but they've never been good enough to not get, you know, the last pick ever because Super Bowls happen. The Bills are just we just got to stop telling ourselves that Josh Allen is the answer. Because at some point in time, what you have to understand is that you, as a collectively, as a unit, a team, franchise, front office, everything, can he win you games? Yeah, he can. But guess what? That dude's going to lose you multiple games. From everybody's perspective, and this has always been my point, is that over the last 3 years, the Bills are supposed to basically go 13-3, 14-3, depending on how, the timeline, because they changed the scheduling up. That's the time. They're supposed to be 13-4 or 14-3. No. Because you can't trust Josh Allen. He's the high of the highs and he's the low of the lows. And he is low. For me, God, I hate doing this because I get this self-hating Buffalo Bills fan label. Just it's the halo, a halo of hatred. He's okay. But because Buffalo has been wanting somebody since Jim Kelly, they just want something to latch onto. He's not the guy. He'll win you games. You will win 10 games per season with Josh Allen. You will. Because he's going to win you 3 games that you shouldn't win, and he's going to lose you 3 games that you should have won. That's who he is. I don't think I'm being too off topic and too out of pocket with that. Spent 20 minutes on the Bills. And guess what? Nobody's going to watch that. But whoever's here. Chili Josh Allen needs to take care of all. Oh, we went to that. I'm not trying to discard that, Chili. Just I went back to the chat and I felt bad because I said it already. Anyway, Giannis with that. God, I cannot boo Josh Allen enough. I hate him. Brotherly shove. Okay, so there are certain things. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I have no problem admitting it. And brotherly shove is something that I have always said is it'll never be outlawed. I actually don't think that it will be. It could, but I don't think so. But I was listening to The Right Time with Bomani Jones, and that is my favorite podcast that I listen to. The Right Time with Bomani Jones. It's not sponsored, but yo, Bo, if you hear this at all, I'll let you boy. So what he was saying is, from the beginning of time, when we look at the NFL, what was it supposed to be? It's not the tush push. It's not the brotherly shove. And he's like, wait, football's been around here forever. We never thought about it. And on top of that, Sorry. So on top of that, we are trying to figure out if we're watching live. Yeah, there's things going on in the background. Um, so initially, yeah, we're tougher than you. It doesn't matter what's going on, but they never once considered that. It was always the Packers sweep. There was always something else that was going on, and this was Bomani Jones's perspective on it. And I thought, huh, I didn't really think about that. And then he goes into the new version of it, and he goes, huh, well, you are good at this, and you're bad at this, but nobody else can do it. Is this cheating? Maybe. And to me personally, I've always thought of it as the brotherly shove is just it's a regular NFL play. Like if you're supposed to go 4th and 1, then push. Like you just do it, right? But by the same token, it goes, I'm supposed to just unesthetically pleasing, and nobody's ever thought of this. Like nobody besides the Philadelphia Eagles has ever thought about this in their entire life. That's the problem. And that is where I started to kind of change my perspective on it is I always said, if you want to do it, do it. You have the better O line, get the bigger quarterback. Go ahead and do you, boo boo. And I wasn't even thinking a second thought about it. But with Bomani, he had said, yo, we've had this game around for 100 years. Nobody thought to do this ever. Nobody wanted to stop it ever. And what he had mentioned was, and this right here was the point that actually stuck with me is like, when you're playing Madden or 2K or whatever video game, it doesn't have to be those things, but that's where I'm going to go with this because I play a lot of Madden. Is you get the screenplays, you get the uh goddamn, you get either screens or you get the streaks or the slants. And depending on how fast your people are, they can be terrible wide receivers, but their speeds are 98, 99. You can get to certain things. And what he's basically saying is what you're doing is you're cheating. And I didn't really think about that way. And that's what this is to a degree. So no, I don't think 100% that it is cheating. But when you put everything into perspective and say, "Oh, why are you continuously running a halfback dive? It's a cheat code. It works for your offensive line. Why do you continuously use these slant routes? Because it works because you have 99 speed. Why do you continuously do things?" And the thing that he always said, the thing that he said that made me actually think about it was, if the only reason that you have to say anything is, well, it's not in the rule book, then that means that you're cheating. It made me think about it at least because when this isn't a new thing, obviously. The tush push, the brotherly shove, whatever you want to say it, has been around for at least 2 years. But if somebody says to you, well, it ain't cheating, it means you probably cheating. I still don't hate the play itself because nobody can do it better than Philadelphia. And it's not, I want them to be able to do it as long as they can. And they should be able to because they have the ability to. And it's right. Like, it's not against the rules, but by 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 Bomani's standard, which I kind of agree with, if your only combatants is, well, it ain't against the rules, means it probably should be. That's all I'm getting at. And I do. Like, I don't have an issue with it. But it made me think. It made me think about it for the first time because I didn't give it two thoughts at all. These are good points. I never thought about it that way. Actually, thank you, Chili Dean, for the shout out and for the comments. It's just something where I never thought about it either. And you're allowed. There are certain things about not even just sports, but in life of you're allowed to change your mind. Like, just don't flip flop. So, like, even right now, I still think that the brotherly shove or whatever you want to name it, I'm still okay with it. But if you want to outlaw it, I kind of get it too. But I never thought about it from any other perspective until I heard Bomani say it and articulate the way that he did, because he really is. And if nobody listens to the right time, and he's not a sponsor by any stretch of the imagination. And Jesus, I wish that he was, because Bomani to me is one of the best people in this industry. And if he ever had the chance to listen to my show, oof. But he's so articulate about what he does and how he goes about things that, and it's not just, he made a great point as well. I'll go ahead and segue into this. The NBA, we might be losing the country. Actually, no, I made that point the other day. I already did that. I did that yesterday. So I got like 40,000 things going on. Not a great look. Oh, you know what? I was gonna do something with Kyle Shanahan. I'll go ahead and do this for a moment. So I mentioned yesterday, now that we are back in this space, is Kyle Shanahan is, if you're watching live, don't get three cats. Like two is enough. Two is enough. Jesus. Siri. It's really good for live radio. But Kyle Shanahan has always been kind of the person who has this aura about him of you can get whatever you want to out of any quarterback, which we can actually see. And the problem for me is he's going to end up costing somebody so much money. It's ridiculous. And we say Kyle Shanahan, he's a genius, and he can make anybody out of anything. But if you can, why did you trade up to go get Trey Lance? Which was my problem the first time that this happened. But on top of that, it's Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy needs to pray to whatever God he prays to, that Sam Darnold is absolute doo-doo butter on Sunday. He has to be. Because if Sam Darnold is good, if Sam Darnold is relevant on Sunday, what it does is it puts nobody has to pay anybody anything. Like, ever. And that's where the market's going to be. But if they win a Super Bowl, let's hypothetically, let's just say that the 49ers win a Super Bowl with Brock Purdy. Let's just say that happens. The Niners are not going to re-sign him. They're not going to give him 40 or 50 million dollars a year. They've read that story, they've seen that movie. They don't need to pay him $40 million a year. But what's going to happen though is if they don't get to a Super Bowl, or if they don't get to an NFC championship game, what's going to happen then is, well, we're not going to trade for any of your quarterbacks ever. Let them go to free agency. Kyle Shanahan, at this point in time, to me personally, either has to win a Super Bowl in the next like 2 or 3 years with like a Brock Purdy. I don't even know who he might not do it with. He has to do it with him. And if he doesn't, he's going to cost Brock Purdy some money. He's going to cost, when you look at it, Trey Lance has already kind of wasted his money because if you can't, if the Niners trade up for the third overall pick to get you and you can't be out the worst, not worst is a bad way of saying that, but if you're the last person picked in an NFL draft and they outperformed you, I don't know, man. At that point in time, like it just seems like I don't want to say it's a you problem, but it feels like a you problem. Sheesh, man. I'll say this though. Brock Purdy is better than any quarterback that San Francisco has had in the last, I would say, 6, 7 years, because Alex Smith was there for a while, and then they went into the whole Jimmy Garoppolo and draft Trey Lance and everything else. Man, if you can get to the NFC Championship game with anybody, just stop trying to do it with anybody else. Just get there. The Niners are absolutely wild to me. So I poo-pooed on Josh Allen, changed the heart of the brotherly shove. Shanahan. I will say this: you better figure something out, because if you don't win a Super Bowl like within the next 3 years, nobody's getting paid, and then you might be out of a job. And actually, that was pretty much it. Also, the Mac Truck podcast is coming up, or not even coming up. It's been here for a minute, but I am supposed to be a side guest on there tomorrow, and I hope that actually comes to fruition. But if anybody has any questions, please just drop in the chat. Like I said, I was basically scrolling through everything that was already here. I was here chopping it up, hanging out. I got about 20 minutes to just do whatever the hell I want to. So if you got questions, throw them out there. I'll give you guys about 1 or 2 minutes, figure things out. Also, look, if you're watching right now, put your question in the chat. I will fight you in the street. I even know who it is. Oh, but Chili, like you're a Seahawks fan though. So do you have anything as far as what your expectations are, or Like anything else, I like honestly right now I'm just hanging out right now. I've gotten to the point where I'm tired of trying to impress other people, and at this point, I just want to hang out and enjoy and entertain people instead of just trying to be everything to everybody. I'm excited for you to be on there. Oh yeah, because you know Mac Truck, you know Mackenzie, Chili, don't you? For those that aren't watching live, Chili said, "I'm excited for you to be on there." And I'm hoping that it does. The biggest thing for me, the hardest issue that I run into is because I live in Alaska. There's a time zone difference. So it was, I'll talk to you on Saturday or Friday or something. I was like, geez, like I don't. And it's not her fault. I'm 3 hours ahead of where the hell everybody. It's so difficult doing things in Alaska from a multitude of angles, basically. Uh, but Chili, I'm really excited. I'm glad that you're excited as well, and I hope that you have any questions for me before I hang it up. I know that, and I'm really sorry to hear about you and your wife because you and I we talk pretty regularly, and I'm sorry about your wife and you both getting COVID. a really that's a really rough thing, and I didn't want to do it through messaging because I wasn't really sure how to do it, but uh, somebody who I follow in Chicago had said, I feel like I'm getting a lot more COVID related, not so much deaths. I don't want to put it in that so hard on the hyperbole, but it is something where they said I haven't seen a lot of COVID issues until recently. And so when you and I were talking, you said like both my wife and I have it. I started to think, oh, that's not good, man. And I really do hope the best for you and your wife. I want you guys to be good and be healthy and get through all of this. Because it's not I'm totally done. Like people are gonna get pissed off regardless of what I say or not. If you believe in getting vaccinated, please be vaccinated. If you don't, it's whatever. And there's there's so many variations of what is going on that we don't really know exactly 100% anyways. But I live in Alaska. There are people. Alaska is basically Arctic Texas, dog. That's what it is. But anyway, we'll move on from that. Do you think the Seahawks will that was that was a really fun transition. That's what I do, right? Awkward transitions. Um, do you think the Seahawks will draft a QB next year or hit free agency? I don't think Gino is a long-term answer. I think that what you have to define is long-term for one. But also, I don't know if Seattle will actually be in a position where they could even get it supposedly. And again, I'm not a huge college football fan. Supposedly, this is supposed to be one of the biggest and best quarterback draft classes that we've seen in a long time. Not so much as like over the top, but like actual depth. Again, it could be crap. Remember, there was a time where Baker Mayfield wasn't supposed to be in the top 60 and then went number 1 overall. So take that with a grain of salt. If I'm Seattle, if they have the opportunity to, if it's on their big board, if they say we need a quarterback, because like I'm not a huge Geno Smith fan. I'll just say that. I'm not a huge fan of him. But he earned his money, and I've said this on multiple podcast episodes beforehand, is he got the money he deserved this contract. Didn't mess him over, didn't mess over the Seahawks. But am I worried about them trying to reach for another quarterback? Yes, I am. Only because it always comes down to everything around you. Because Seattle has drafted so well. They've drafted so well, especially defensively. The Seahawks have knocked the draft out of the park. They have been bonkers the last 2 or 3 years. But if you were to tell me, should they get a quarterback? It all depends on how bad do you think Geno Smith is? And that's where, just for me personally, he hasn't done enough. And we've talked about this on other podcast episodes, is he's been punched in the face, he's been kind of trotted around. So no, like I'm is he going to be, he is who he is at this point in time. He's a middle of the road quarterback, and he's getting paid like that. He's getting paid more than a backup, and he's getting paid less than a starter. And that's essentially who he is. But if you have the opportunity to draft a quarterback, I would say yes. And that's not even, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be a dickhead. I probably should have booped that twice. But no, like I don't think that you're being inconsiderate based on the fact that he's over 30 years old. The first time that he actually made a Pro Bowl, or the first time that he was actually being considered for anything, was 10 years into his career. No, you're more than within your right to draft a quarterback. Now it's always easy for us to say that because we're not in the room. We don't have to make those decisions. And it makes us sound like we can be callous, and sometimes we are. But I've told you, especially Chili, I've told you, man, one-on-one, the contract that the Seattle Seahawks signed with Geno Smith was probably the most amicable contract ever in NFL history. He's not worth 40 or 50 million dollars a year, because we've seen that, right? Daniel Jones just got paid 40 plus million dollars a year, and he is trash, but he's still got $40 million a year. Geno Smith is older, bounced around, had some issues, some his fault, some not. Got one chance to prove himself, and he got paid what I think is the most fair contract I've ever seen in my entire life. Now, the money obviously seems like it's skewing it a bit, because it's still, what, 20, $25 million a year for 2 years? Yes. When you say you're playing a sport and you're getting 20 plus million a year, how is that fair? Whatever. I understand the economics of it. And yeah, see what backups get paid. See what backups get paid. It's not a terrible deal for either person. So I it's the one deal that I can think of in recent memory that both sides actually won. And it's really tough to do that in sports. It's very it's a very team friendly deal contract. He's on when you agree. I would trust Gino over Jones at quarterback. I would trust Gino over Daniel Jones at quarterback, no hesitation. Oh my God, same, same. What irritates the absolute hell out of me is that, and like Chili, like you've listened to my podcast and what I do and how I conduct myself is just because you make it to the playoffs doesn't mean that you're gonna stair step to the next level, and that's what simps do. And I love using the word simp. I do. Oh, so you did make the playoffs of 1 year, and they made it to a wild card, which means that we can only get to the divisional, which means we can only get to the conference, which means we can only get to the Super Bowl, which means we can only get womp 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 wow 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 wow. You got to figure it out, man. That's not how sports works, because if you're supposed to just get a little bit further every time you make it somewhere, there's no reason for us to even have this. Sports doesn't even need to exist at that point in time. I don't, right? So when it comes back down to Daniel Jones versus Geno Smith, it really depends on what the argument is supposed to be about. Um, do I trust Geno Smith more than Daniel Jones? I would say yes, but I wouldn't go over the top where it's exponentially. I wouldn't put it so hyperbolic where it's, well, who would you rather have, Patrick Mahomes or Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, I'm not going to do that. I feel like both of them are within the same realm. They obviously have different skill sets. They obviously have different qualities. But the biggest thing for me, once again, is the monetary value of what you're placing on somebody. So if you're asking me, would I rather have Daniel Jones or Geno Smith at 50% of the monetary value, but basically the same, if not more upside, I'm smashing the over on Geno Smith. 100%. I don't want, me personally, I want nothing to do with Daniel Jones at all. But anyway, tell you what, if you guys have any more questions to throw into the chat for a bit, I will go ahead and filibuster for the next 5 or 10 minutes, and we'll go ahead and hang it up afterwards if you don't. I have this, I've actually had way more fun doing this over the past, I'd say month and a half. I like doing my own show more because I can cut, edit, and do things that I need to do. But also, this seems intimate. Seems like a weird way of saying that because obviously, Justin, you can't see intimate. I can if I want to, but I do. I really enjoy having this space with the people who really appreciate and support me, so I can really support them. So the guys like not the guys, men or women or anybody in between or how you identify. I appreciate everybody and I love y'all. Jelly, you better give me a question real, real quick, dog. I'm about to hang it up. I will say this before because I'm not sure if he's gonna pop back in. Is I said before the season started, the Ravens would win the AFC North. I said I'm trying to go back through. Actually, AFC East, I wasn't really sure. I thought it was the Dolphins. AFC South, I thought was going to be, I think the Jaguars. AFC West, the Chiefs, because duh. That's the other thing, too. Can we stop with it when it comes to Patrick Mahomes? Until he's not in an AFC championship game, can we just stop it? They lost week 1. Oh, yeah. Well, they're in trouble. We did the exact same lame when it came to the Patriots years ago. Oh, Brady lost 2 games. One, then they won the Super Bowl. Like, we gotta stop. We gotta stop with all this Neanderthal stupid sports stuff because we don't know. We think that we know more than we do. Everybody who's watching right now, throw in the chat. Tell me who you think wins each division. Because I'll tell you, AFC North, I thought was going to be the Ravens. AFC West, that's easy for me. The Chiefs. AFC South, that was a weird one. I thought Indianapolis initially, but that doesn't seem as I have no idea. No idea. AFC East, that was a tough one for me as well. I think I originally said the Dolphins. That might still happen, but that's what I thought. But when it comes to the NFC West, thought it was the Niners. I still firmly believe in that. NFC North, I think I said the Vikings, which no, they should just be relegated. Get them out of here. NFC East, I feel like I said Philadelphia. And NFC South, I believe I said. God, I'm trying to remember. I think I said New Orleans. Yeah, I think I said New Orleans because they got Derek Carr, and at the beginning of the season, I was very, very hard on the phrasing. I thought with all my heart that New Orleans would take the next leap, but I still feel like I'm going to get 75, if not 100% of those divisions correct. Anyway, are the yay? Yes. We got a new question. Are the Dolphins legit or are they pretenders? I love these type of questions. All right, so we have to come to an agreement of what is legit and what is pretender, because you know me better than essentially anybody else in this landscape. I don't like doing you're either the GOAT or you're the worst. And to me, when we say, are you legitimate or a pretender? That's kind of where what we're doing. Not you necessarily, because it's gonna happen no matter what. Like, it will be a topic of discussion. Um, but everything that we run into is if we're doing it on a level playing field, neutral zone, and everybody is good to run, I think the Dolphins are the best team in the AFC. And I have no problem saying that. But it's a war of attrition. It always has been, always will be. And that's the reason why I don't 100% believe in the San Francisco 49ers, is because they play so hard and everybody wants to punch you in the face, and that is great on a week to week basis. But sometimes you got to know when to dip out of bounds. Sometimes you have to know when to take a knee. Sometimes you have to know when to just bow. Doesn't mean you're weak. It means that you're playing smart. But San Francisco doesn't know that gear. Their gear is 100 infinity billion miles an hour all the goddamn time. If that's what they want to do, yeah, they're going to win 11, 12 games a year every single year. And you won't have a quarterback, and you're not going to have an edge rusher, and you're not going to have a top flight middle linebacker, and you're not going to have a top flight. Just pick corner, free safety, strong safety, doesn't matter. If that's how you are going to approach it, then you're done. So when it comes to Miami, I don't think that they are. I would not say that they are pretenders. The other thing too is the AFC is so stacked. When we look at the NFC, we look at San Francisco, Philadelphia. We used to say, and what's wild is that was 9 days ago, is Detroit. And then Detroit got the break speed off of them by Baltimore. And then what happens on Monday and Tuesday? What the Lions are frauds? No, it's just you ran to a bad matchup, and that's the way I look at it. It's matchups. So are the Dolphins fraudulent? I would say no, but depends on what the actual hierarchy is put at from the initial standpoint, because I look at things a little bit differently. If you're telling me, do I think that they could win the AFC and get to the Super Bowl? Maybe. But there's this dude called Patrick Mahomes who wears number 15 in white and red. And I don't know, he's been there 5 years in a row as far as conference games are concerned. And I have a really difficult time betting against him. But I don't think they're pretenders, because if they were pretenders, we would say they're going to win the AFC. Like, if from the get-go we said Miami Dolphins are winning the AFC completely, not the division, but the conference, and then we see what they've been, and they end up, I don't know, 7-10. But nobody thinks that way. Nobody thinks that way about them. But it always goes back again, like I said, the war of attrition. If you don't have Tyreek Hill, that's gonna be real tough. Jalen Waddle is hurt. That's tough. No Raheem Mostert. All the speed that you built on the offensive side and the motion that you use is now irrelevant, essentially. Yeah, that's going to be very difficult. I will give them this as long as if they get Jalen Ramsey back, and Jesus, if they do that, it always, but again, this everything comes first full circle. If Tyreek Hill is not actually hurt and can play, same with Jalen Waddle, and then you get Jalen Ramsey back, I don't want to say it, but that team might win the Super Bowl. It's crazy. Like they're so talented across the board, especially offensively. Now their window for opportunity is very slim because Tyreek is getting up there in age, but he's as of right now and next year, he's going to be the fastest person on the planet and absolutely on the football field. But no, like I don't think it all comes down to who can actually win the war of attrition. So if you're asking me right now, Chili, are the Dolphins legit or pretenders? Currently, I would still say legit. I wouldn't put the pretender label the pretender label on them. But I do this with damn near everybody. There's three teams where we say, well, for me, I say there's three or four teams that are great, three or four teams that are absolute doo-doo butter, and there's 26 teams where you're basically 8-8. And sometimes you get the bounces and sometimes you don't. But Miami to me is not in that 8-8, 8-7, or however you want to put it with the 17 game schedule. I don't think that they are that menial, if you will. But man, it's going to be a really weird and a very interesting trek down the NFL, like at the actual end of the schedule. It's going to be crazy because I don't believe I don't believe the Dolphins are fraudulent. I believe the Bills are. Do if you want, I will throw my name in the hat for if you say who's the worst Bills fan ever. Show them this and then tell me it's me because it's gonna be me. But I think that Miami's really good, dude. But everybody's good. Well, not everybody. Again, I don't want to say that. Um, so I'm thinking about hanging up for the night. I will filibuster for a moment to get some actual to get another question if somebody is willing to. And if not, we'll go ahead and hang it up for the night. And also, Chili, thank you so much, one, for hanging out with me for the entire live stream. And I hope that you and your wife and your kiddos are doing good. I know that things are, you know, I'm also, man, can I feel like somebody's in like absolutely ridicule the hell out of me for just saying, "Hey, I'm sorry that you have like COVID," but God, it's just somebody's going to because I live in Alaska and Alaska is basically just like Arctic Texas. It's, a, it's so stupid. Just be be aware. Just be nice to people. Listen to their story. Listen to like what's going on. And I hate it. I hate people. It's a pleasure, man. We are starting to feel better. She's starting eating meals today. That is what I'm talking about. Wait, I'm pretty sure I know this is. I know this is really cheesy, and I hope you can hear this. And that was the reason why I asked you earlier, like, can I use the guinea pig? I'm not sure if you could, because I'm not sure if you could hear it or not. Yesterday, I was doing the live stream and I couldn't hear what I was supposed to be doing. But you're welcome, man. And you're welcome, bud. I do. I hope that you and your wife are doing well. I know that you mentioned that she has it worse than you. It's tough, man. I Well, I'm already here. I just like I really just don't give a anymore. I really do hope that you're good. And when it comes to COVID, I'm basically over the stigma of, well, if you have it, you're this. If you don't have it, you're that. If you can get vaccinated, please do. If you can't, then don't. But just stop being a jerk to people. Can we just stop doing that? Like you can even have it, and that's what's the most, and nobody really knows this except for me, obviously. Um, I had somebody who I worked with in Chile. You're here right now, so I'll throw it out into the universe. I had a somebody that I worked with for over 10 years. I would say it was a little bit off and on, but essentially, if you want to put it into perspective, 11 years. And he had COVID once, beat it, got it again, beat it, never got vaccinated because he was fit. Because like I'm 6'3", I'm 6'3", 205, 210. But this dude was like 6'8", 6'9". It was a gargantuan of a person and super fit. He beat COVID twice. And he died 2 years ago. And I don't know what to do anymore. I remember when this happened, I have a lot of friends of mine who are very religious and well, God took care of him. And I was like, don't you can spare me with that. Because I don't know what I am. I know that he deserved better though. As somebody who actually was a God fearing man and was extremely religious, I went AWOL for 2 weeks because I knew the reason why I shaved my head is because of that man. Because he was the only person tall enough to actually see over me. This big old Jermaine. Hey yo, you need to go home, dog. I do need to go home. And that's why I did it. And 5 months later, he was gone. And I told everybody there is no God, there's no nothing. And I still have no idea what to believe. Because if you believe in a certain higher power, I will never try to play defense against your happiness. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. But it was really hard for me, like for somebody who really dug their feet in. And said, God always has my back, man. That's what he would say. He'd say, he always has my back and he'll never let me down. So I can't tell if he was let down, and I can't tell if him, I guess, for lack of a better term, the sacrificial lamb, to be better for us. I don't know. And I worked with Jermaine for 11 years. I mean, he's not the first person that I lost to COVID, and he won't be the last. So, you, Chili, and everybody else who might potentially listen to this, just know I love you, and I don't wish this upon anybody, because it's not. I'm so tired of the political stuff. Diseases are not discriminatory. They don't care what your height is, your weight, your sex, religion. It doesn't matter. It is a super nice. So now he wants to join at the very end. All right.
Oh, I didn't know it was the very end. Sorry.
No, and now I said you wanted to join at the very end. But go ahead. What's going on? Here's the mic. All right. My son Braxton is
Joining. What were we talking about before though?
we weren't talking about anything.
Well, what were you talking
about? Pretty serious stuff.
Let me guess, football or sports?
Initially, yeah. What do you want to talk about though?
I don't really know. I know this wasn't supposed to be a video game podcast.
It was no
a live stream. But...
No, you and I have done one beforehand, but so you want to do it now?
Sure.
What Tears of the Kingdom, right? Or what? Oh, right now, what's your favorite game that you've been playing for the last like three months or so?
I don't know.
You gotta talk it.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
We can talk about Cat Quest, maybe.
Cat Quest? That's a super awesome game. I love Cat Quest.
It's amazing. I was actually just playing it. But what should we talk about it? I know you probably don't really remember much, but
well, I've seen it before. I've seen you play it.
Me and Mom played, an hour ago.
Yeah, I was just there.
I don't really know what to talk about though.
Wait, you came and hijacked my show. What are you talking about? I don't know
what to talk about.
You said you want to come and talk about video games.
I don't really know what to talk about Cat Quest anymore.
Okay. Well, then how about bedtime routine? Because
I was actually gonna ask if I can go to bed.
Yes, you can.
Boy, sorry for the interruption.
So that was my son. For those who haven't met him yet, what are you doing, Cat Quest? I've never heard of it. Okay, so and I appreciate the condolences for Jermaine. It's been Jesus Christ, what 2 years now, and yeah, man, it's as for the person that he was, I feel like I was the only person that he really trusted, which I might be miscalculating on, but for all the off-brand and very dismissive things that he would say and or do just because that was his dynamic, I don't think that there's anybody else I've ever worked with that I miss more than him. So back to what do you do in Cat Quest? I've never heard of it. So I'm not sure what platform you play on. But Cat Quest is a game that you can play. It's available on PlayStation. It might be. I'm not sure what platforms you can play on, but it's essentially like you're a cat and you're wandering around this magical place, and you get new. It's an RPG with a cat, and it's adorable. My wife and I actually stumbled upon it um 2 years ago. Yeah, actually, it was 2 years ago. Almost, I won't say to the day because I don't remember, but we did that because we also downloaded a bunch of Halloween games. But Cat Quest is ridiculously cute, and you're good. I use PS4 and Switch mainly, dude. Go get it, Chili. Go get Cat Quest. Like it was $5 2 or 3 years ago. It's crazy because it is an RPG with cats, and it's adorable. And it's not, it's I've always been more of a turn-based RPG guy. Like that's why I like Final Fantasy as much as I do. Like now they've kind of changed it, obviously with Fi- Final Fantasy 13 was not good. Final Fantasy 13 2 was essentially a that was kind of a I'm sorry for Square Enix for Final Fantasy 13. 14 never played. 15 was dope. I loved 15. 16 I'm a few I would say about 6 or 7 hours into it. But those are I like the turn-based games, but the more you get into Final Fantasy, you're not doing the turn-based anymore. And that is not what Cat Quest is. Cat Quest is awesome. It's so cute. And I sound stupid. And I'm not sure if you heard my son. He was like, it's awesome. He's yelling through his bedroom because, like, this is all right. So, this is where I am. His bedroom is right there, like, right over there, and he loves it. It's such an awesome game because you do everything that you would usually do in an RPG game where you get new armor and weapons and things like that. But everything you do is a cat. It's so cute. I'm definitely going to get it. It sounds fun as hell. It is Chili for a $5 investment. It's the best thing you could do. For $5, it'll bring you so much happiness. That's all I have to say, man. And what's weird is like this went from essentially a podcast episode to just live streaming and hanging out and chilling out with you guys. But Chili, I appreciate you. And man, I really hope again that everything works out and everything is good with. I really hope that everything with you and the wifey are good. I know it's a really tough situation to go through. And there are certain people who were just saying, like, well, it's not a thing anymore, and blah 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 blah. Just like you said, just be kind to people. That's all. They just be kind to people. And I want to make sure that you guys are good. So please stay in touch with me. We'll see.
I love you.
What? Yes, I love you too. Yes, I heard.
Okay.
I heard.
Bye, everyone.
How are you saying bye? Oh. So yeah, my son is very self-aware. Anyway, Chili, yeah, once again, go ahead. I hope that you and the wife are doing well. Be kind, be good. As always, stay up, stay blessed. Catch you guys in the next one. Put this kid to bed. God. But we should be live tomorrow as well on the Mac Truck podcast on Spotify. That should be going on tomorrow around 7 o'clock Eastern time. Still got to figure out if that's actually going to happen, but that is when it should. Mackenzie Brooks, shout out to you, Chili Dean, everybody who watches. Love you guys. Stay up, stay blessed. Catch you on the next one.